Hey everybody, my name is Andrew. I'm the creator of Fluster, and I was going to kind of walk everyone through how you can get started with it. Um, when you first open the application, it's going to open on the screen right here. It's going to load these two notes by default. Um, uh, um, yeah, I just want to double check, make sure I was recording. Yeah, so it's going to load these two notes by default. Um, I mean, they're just basically just examples, but this application, it kind of aims to be like the middle ground between like relatively like complicated like developer tools and just kind of stuff that the general public would find very useful. So I'm trying to kind of make it as easy to learn as possible. You do not need to learn how to program like at all, but it does expose like some more into the future. It will expose like some functionality if you do know how to code, but you don't need to know how to code to use this at all. You need to know like a little bit of markdown, and then on top of that you can use it's a syntax that's very similar to MDX, but it's not MDX. I mean it's compiled by Rust instead of TypeScript or JavaScript. But that's more of like an implementation detail. What matters is that it's very simple to use, but it's very similar to MDX, which is one of the favorite one of the top tools among developers for creating like documentation based websites or pretty much like any like help section basically. There's like a really good chance, or like documentation section. There's a really very good chance that that was written in MDX by developers, but and I'm trying to make that available to everyone. But the point I'm trying to get to is that you do have to kind of read the documentation, but I'm going to walk everyone through how to find the documentation, and it's very, very simple. So I'm just going to open up this one. Yeah, so I mean, you can kind of see that this is and these images aren't loading, so I don't have the server running in the background. But that won't happen to you. That's only because I'm doing this in development. Um, but yeah, you can see kind of here that you can make these like notes like relatively stylized, and it's all done in like a very markdown. Well, it is markdown. It's markdown plus like some additional features. But one thing I do want to make clear though is that it doesn't. It's not completely Common Mark supported yet. Doesn't support all that Common Mark does yet. It supports all of the features that Common Mark does, just not necessarily all of the syntaxes that Common Mark does. But I will get there. The app is going to get there eventually. But for right now, if you're one of those people that writes your Markdown in a way that's, or you're used to writing your Markdown in a way that, like use like the plus sign for like um, the list items like that may or may not be supported yet, but it's going to get there where that is all supported. Um, yeah, but you can kind of see here that input's on the left, output is on the right. Um, it's so I mean I'll just kind of walk you guys through how if you wanted to learn this from scratch, how you would get started. Uh, so let's just say that this is like a new note. So all I have to do to see the documentation is this is very much like inspired by Jupyter. So if any developers are familiar with Jupyter or IPython, this is very much like inspired by that. So if you just type docs, DOCS, and two question marks, or one question mark. One question mark will bring up short documentation. Two question marks will bring up long documentation. And um, and yeah, so I'm just gonna, and it has to be on a line all by itself, and there can't be any leading or trailing white space. Yeah, so I'm just gonna hit save, and then you see that brings up the documentation, and for the core, it's kind of like this is basically like the documentation homepage, and this will bring up a list of more documentation commands. So as you can see here, docs, this is where we are. If you're starting from scratch, start with Markdown. This is like the kind of the basics, how to do things like create a title, create a list, things like that. From there, if you do know Markdown, start with JSX. That's it's kind of like the like, well, both of these really are. This is like the syntax that is unique specifically to Conundrum, and this is more of like the JS, or the kind of like the MDX like syntax that I kind of basically like not copied, but kind of piggybacked off of. And yeah, so I mean, one obvious place to start, we can start with components. So if we come in here and we type components and hit save, and now we have a list of all these different components. And this list is generated dynamically from code, so it's gonna always reflect like the current state of your application. And It'll list all the properties that you have available. So if you're behind on a few versions, you don't have to worry about looking up documentation online that may or may not reflect like your application. Like this will always reflect like your app. We can just pick really any of these. But kind of to show off the IntelliSense, I guess we can try tabs because those are kind of a pain in the ass, or excuse me, pain in the butt to type by yourself. I'll try to edit that out. I'm not a video editor, so we'll see. So you just type, tabs 1, 2, or 3, however many you want. So we just type 3 of them. Then if I hit save, scroll up, and now we have, and then from here, like it's relatively kind of self-explanatory, like what goes in where. And then in here we can put in any content that works anywhere else. So we can put in, so we can have math. We can have even like another component. I mean, this is going to look horrible, but oh, actually, this might not look too bad. We can put in like another component in here. This is going to look ridiculous, but yeah, all that does is just gives it some style. This container is meant to be like it's intentionally unstyled, so that's something that you guys can style yourself, rather than like a tab or like an admonition or a card, which is kind of styled for you. Yeah, so like yeah, so I guess we can come back in here, and so one thing that is kind of cool is that the documentation is interactive. So if we type emoji, that'll bring up this emoji documentation, and then you can type broken heart. So broken hearted, so I thought I was going to be able to release this today, and it's not going to happen. And then we can use the emoji component with that name. And then, I mean, all that does, I mean, you can do this without the, for this style, you can do this without the component, just using this syntax right here. But if you use the component, you can add in extra properties. So I can say extra large, and then right, to kind of push it off to the right. And then, these are, all these sizes they're all like common language terms, So like small, medium, large, I think it goes up to like 3XL. And then there's our other terms like full and none as well. Let's see what else there is in here for documentation. I mean, these emphasis. These are kind of like grouped styles. As you can, as you saw when I applied that error style, it applied things as kind of like a group. So these are kind of different. This is like the name that you would use to apply it, and then you can apply these to like pretty much not every component, but any component that makes sense to have like a color. You can apply these kind of styles to. What else is there? Oh yeah, well, one kind of like a core piece of this application is that it integrates with like a bibliography. So if I come in here, I type in a little bit of IntelliSense that I'm still working on improving this. To be honest, I'm gonna go to a different editor. This editor is definitely not gonna make it into version 2. But for right now, I mean, it's definitely like it's definitely usable. My report, and then I could fill this out, but I mean, you don't want to see me type. And then if you click on a bibliography entry, it'll take you back to all of your notes that are associated with that entry. And then one feature that is not going to make it, I just had to yank this out of the build like an hour ago, so it's not going to make it into the initial release. But you can add dictionary entries, and then some description. And then it'll populate here, and then usually there's a page here that you can click on, and it'll, from all of your notes, it'll collect your dictionary entries, and it'll save a dictionary for you. But I had to change some things, like not related to the dictionary specifically, but related to the code around it, and then I just wasn't going to be able to get it rebuilt in time, so I just decided to yank it out. But that's something it's going to be back into the application very, very soon. So that's probably be one of the very first updates. Yeah, but then you can come in here, you can see like your global bibliography, This will take you back to the dashboard. Um, yeah, there's like a note details page, which isn't the most interesting, but it, it has like some of your citations, and these will, if your citation has a URL, it'll link to that URL, and then this will link back to the note or to notes that have that citation, so you can kind of take advantage of both, like the clickability of both of them. This is just like a kind of like a reader view. You can come back in here and pick out one that I haven't kind of mutilated. Oh yeah, so this is just kind of like a reader view. You can kind of see this is just kind of me explaining, basically what I'm explaining right now. Um, yeah, and then just kind of one other cool feature. And there's like a bunch of these. These are all explained in the documentation, so I really hope people will kind of go through the documentation. But one cool feature that you can do is because this is all integrated like with its own like parser, so we're not like piggybacking off of other languages. This is kind of like its like beginnings of like its very own language. So because it's integrated with the parser in that way, we can do things like say my equation ID, and then delta equal to, and then we can say my equation number is my equation. Oop. Yeah, so this is kind of similar to LaTeX, where you can like obviously if you have one equation, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But if you have like on like the one of the example notes that I think I have like 30 some equations on there, and it makes sense to like if I want to reorder something to copy and paste like an equation with the ID, I don't have to worry about changing the numbers and making sure that everything is kind of all aligned. I can just copy and paste that equation to somewhere else, and as long as that ID is still there, it'll just work the way it's supposed to. And in the previous version of Fluster, it had like an equations database, which I'm definitely going to add back in. That might be like a few months out. But I would definitely encourage people, if you're in any sort of STEM field or a STEM student, anybody where equations are like a part of your life, use IDs and just make them kind of like descriptive, and just something that you can like maybe not remember, but kind of just like develop like a pattern, like develop some sort of casing that makes sense to you and stick with it. Yeah, but I guess that's kind of like really. Oh, and then there's like the paper kit. Yeah, so this is this Apple's kind of. I mean, anyone that has an iPad or like an iPhone is familiar with these tools. Like they're used by, hundreds, thousands, maybe of applications. They're incredible tools. And the iPad application for that goes along with Fluster, it's maybe a week or two behind the desktop application. So the iPad application is going to be released very very shortly after the desktop application. So obviously, it makes a lot more sense to have these paper tools available for the iPad. But one thing I wanted to make clear is that when you create like a note in Fluster, like what it actually does is it creates like a group of notes. So it'll create like one of these like markdown pages that it can be obviously as long as you want it to be. It'll create one, or initially it'll create one, and then you can use this plus button to create more of these like paper sheets. You can have as many as you want of these paper sheets, and then it'll have the bibliography, and it usually would have a dictionary, but that's not going to make it into the initial release. And then it can have up to, when you create the note, it's behind a paywall right now because this is like the build release. But if that wasn't there, I'd be able to show you. When you create a note, there's an option to create like a subject and a topic, and then there's like a way to edit it as well. And then you can create a tag using this syntax right here. So and then each note can have as many tags as you want using this syntax right here, just two brackets and then the ampersand, and then whatever your tag is. So you can create as many tags as you want using this, and you can have up to one topic and up to one subject. And what worked really well for me was kind of keeping those kind of like one inside of the other. So having one that's like more broad. So it doesn't matter really matter which one you use is more broad, but like having like say topics as like say physics and math, and then like subjects might be like gravity, electromagnetism, quantum mechanics or something like that. You know what I mean? And it just worked really well for me to use them in that way rather than kind of using them like in the same way where you're just kind of like duplicating, you're just kind of spreading out your information basically. Um, yeah, but I mean, and then I mean tags I always use to kind of reference like a specific place on a note. But I mean of course use these tools however you guys see benefits you the most. I just wanted to kind of explain how they came to be because this application was built for my own personal use first. All these tools kind of came to be because if you can't understand from the way I'm talking so fast, I'm one of the most ADHD people you'll ever meet. And I mean, like for me to organize my notes, it was a struggle. So I'm hoping that something I built for myself can help a lot of other people. If you have any questions, I mean, let me reach out to me any way you can. I'm not on really social media at all, but I don't even have internet right now. I'm still kind of borderline, not homeless. I have a place now, thank God, but I haven't had a paycheck in 5 years. So yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean, if anyone has any questions, I mean, just reach out to me however you can.